better living through alchemy!
Hey guys, it's your boy Mini TV here once again with another video. Today it's going to be another one of those peering at the pro videos. Last video it was on Crystal Maiden with Aoi 2000 as our featured pro player. Today we're going to be doing actually a mid replay with Alchemist being the hero that we are sort of focusing on, and it's going to be from Sccc. Newbie player, well technically not newbie player I guess now, because of the whole forward takeover and yada yada yada, but obviously originally from newbie, incredibly high MMR player, incredibly high skilled. Really looking forward to this one because we haven't done a mid hero yet on any of the videos on this channel yet, so really looking forward to this. And I think Alchemist, one of those heroes that really can absolutely snowball, completely dominate if you have the right start, if you have the right draft, and once you're sort of following this replay from this pro, you can easily get 1000 GPM, and I'm looking forward to learning myself. So how's about we go ahead, jump right into it, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's start. So guys, this is the game. I think it was around like a 7.5k average MMR, so really high MMR. Obviously Sccc top 5 in China right now, and as I've said before in my other videos, because TI9 is just right around the corner, I think like 4 or 5 days now till we actually start the group stage, which I'm so psyched for. Might make a few videos about it as well, depending on a few things. Yes, because TI9 is just around the corner, like all the best teams, all the best players are in China now, playing as hard as they can, playing as many pubs as they can. So the skill level right now in these pubs is as high as it will probably ever be throughout the whole year. So really looking forward to this. Just quickly on the draft as well, Alchemist was picked last. Really important, really, I think, because normally nowadays, obviously in the pub scene and in the pub games, your mid players are normally your 9th and your 10th pick. In this case, Dyer had last pick, and Sccc picked Alchemist because of the fact that you can't get counted after, obviously, if you're in the last pick. And OD, yes, he can be okay against Alchemist, but I think Alchemist, some of the hard counters when you're playing against mid, heroes like Monkey King that can kind of really crush you, Bloodseeker as well, one of those heroes, but OD, you can deal with him, and as a result he picks him up here, and you're going to see how much he's going to dominate this game. So quickly on the item build, sort of Stout Shield, Gauntlets of Strength. I'll just pause it quickly because there's going to be a little bit of an engagement here. Stout Shield, Gauntlets of Strength, 1 Iron Branch, 1 Quelling Blade, and obviously is pull 2 Tangos. So this build here is just to try and really maximise as much damage as you can. So 3 Gauntlets, 3 Strength from the Gauntlets of Strength, and then the Iron Branch as well, so that's 4 DPS. Plus you can use that branch to eat and get double Tango share. Really important, really. Other builds I've seen like kind of a Fairy Fire and a branch, but that only gives 3 damage really, whereas this gives 4, plus you can still use it. So I think this is the ideal build, plus you want to build into braces as well, and that's what the Gauntlets of Strength offer you. So really important that you go ahead with that. As you can sort of see here, as you know, spec in Griever's Greed as soon as possible because you get double on the bounties, and that's why Alchemist and Sccc runs down to the bounty rune as well. You don't offer too much really in terms of like the early rune engagement, but just having that extra hero can force the enemy team to sort of back off, and also as another person to sort of spam click on the runes as well. So comes in, doesn't matter too much about the block, to be honest. Like he obviously loses the block because he focuses on the rune, but obviously right clicks on the OD, draws the aggro back. And really important what he does here as well. Like a lot of alchemists sometimes will be really scared to run back and to sort of not man up on the OD. But if the OD is running past the creep wave, you have a Stout Shield, remember. OD's not the strongest level 1 hero, has obviously the Astral Imprisonment, so you can man up and right click, go toe to toe with him, which is he's doing right here. Really important, so you don't lose that presence in the lane early on. Obviously use the Tango and the branch to sort of get some extra regen from the Tango. And in this sort of scenario, he's just trying to get as much CS as he can. Obviously, if the OD sort of steps out of line, he will give him a couple of right clicks and give him a couple of right clicks punches just to know where he stands in the lane. But for the most part, he's just trying to focus on the CS because that's that's your main job as an alchemist. Obviously, in some other mid scenarios and mid heroes, you're going to try and harass the enemy mid as much as you can. But you kind of harass with your acid spray, just by having that on the ground and OD being inside of it. He's going to take harassment, but for the most part, it's all about the last hits. And he's doing all right actually. What is he up? 8-0, yeah, he doesn't get any denies, but 8-0 is pretty decent. Brought himself off a bracer out as soon as possible. Things like this really help, just adds him with extra stats so he can last hit better. But also that, the 6% magic resist is something that, should not be scoffed at really. He's taken a lot of magic damage just from the Astral Imprisonment, but things like the bracer, really, really useful. So as you see here, just quickly, I just sort of, pause it. Goes 2 points in acid spray, so really important that you kind of get this second point in acid spray because of the fact of pushing out the lanes is so important, but also securing the last hits because of the extra armor reduction as well. If you get an extra point in Grievil's Greed, yes, you can kind of get more farm from getting CS, but you will in a result won't get as much CS because you won't have as much pressure on the lane because you don't have that second point in acid spray. So really important you get that second point in acid spray because then it allows you to do things like this, get the runes. And getting a DD rune here, really, really useful because it's going to help him CS with lane, and in the moment he's going to go into the jungle as well, and that DD really, really helps him. So yeah, puts the acid spray down, forces the OD to kind of play a bit more defensive because he's taken a lot of harassment just from the acid spray, gets a few CS here and there. And you're sort of seeing the presence of having that rune control, which you get from having 2 points in acid spray. Odie's forced to sort of CS under tower now, which allows obviously the Alchemist to go ahead, jungle a little bit with the DD, and then obviously get a bit more. Odie's going to try and mess with the Alchemist here a little bit, run up the high ground, but I mean, he isn't going to be able to do much. Can't out CS obviously, and as a result, Sccc is going to get a nice stack here. He won't farm this, but it's really important that as an Alchemist you try and make as much stacks as you can for yourself. He missed like 1 or 2 CS in the lane there, but getting that stack off will pay off so much more than missing 1 or 2 CS would in the lane. Because you'll eventually farm it and it'll be good. Again, you see sort of Odie steps up, put an acid spray down and force him to retreat, pop a salve and have a bit more presence again in the lane, so he's able to CS these few CS, uninterrupted here. So you see here again, pretty similar on the CS. Yes, doesn't have the denies, but as an Alchemist you don't really care about the denies. As an Alchemist, your whole part is you don't care about anyone else in the game. It's all about you. You try, because of how Grieval Greaves work, it's all about yourself, all about trying to steroid your farm, because if you can get the right amount of farm, you're going to carry this game 1v9 basically. So again, brings out another bracer. Again, helping him with some more CS because he does have quite low CS and low sort of base hit rating, only 72, and that's with the 2 bracers. So any kind of extra stats helps with that, plus another magic resist, as they have like OD and Rubik and heroes like that have some magic damage. So again, he brought out a few mangoes as well, which is really important. So he brought out he brought from altogether in terms of the regen, he brought out 1 salve, 1 set of tangos, and 2 mangoes as well. And as an Alchemist, it's really important that you do this because you want to maximize your presence in the lane and in the jungle. If you're forced to go back to base, you're going to slow down so considerably. So it's really important that you go ahead and bring out as much regen as you can to sort of stay yourself in the lane. A little bit of a misplay in my opinion, because when he brought out that clarity, didn't bring out a salve, and he took a lot of damage actually from that stack, and as a result he's kind of forced to play quite far away from the lane. If he had full HP here, you could probably get this wave of here, but as a result, just sort of I'm trying to highlight and prioritize how important it is to sort of spend money early on that regen really. Odie tries to go for a kill here, but in the end, not enough, because those braces help him with the magic resist, but plus 6 intelligence as well. Actually, I think if he didn't have those 2 braces, he would have died there actually. So again, those braces are really paying off. Again, Courier's out, boots. This time he waits for the shrine instead of bringing out some regen, which is understandable, as long as you have some form of regen. Whether it be from the shrine, whether it be from some form of regen that you're buying from the courier. Really, really important that you do this. So, talking about the item build now, I mentioned how important the acid spray was at level 3, speccing it into rank 2. However, now he's gone and started maxing out Grievil's Greed. He's done this for 2 reasons. Firstly, you know, you're starting to sort of see now how Alchemist is less and less focusing on the lane and more focusing on the jungle. You sort of see him jungling a little bit there, and obviously up in the top triangle over here as well. So because of that, because you're not trying to focus too much on the lane, you don't need to have as many points of the acid spray. The acid spray really is there to push out the lane and force harassment onto the enemy mid. But because he's focusing more on the jungle, he can focus more on Grievous Greed. But secondly, and probably more importantly as well, he spec'd 3 levels or 3 points of Grievous Greed at the 5 minutes. And obviously having higher levels of Grievous Greed come the bounty runes just means more gold for yourself. So if you can get level or rank 3 Grievous Greed before 5 minutes, really important that you do that, and it's a great factor. So it's trying to really max out that Grievous Greed as fast as you can for the second round of bounties. So now obviously picks up level 6 obviously, and kind of uses it off of cooldown as much as you can because of the regen and the movement speed that you get from it. So really important that you use that. It's just a nice little farming mechanic that helps you a lot, and obviously again making going back to farm this stack, which is definitely paying for itself now because of what's happened. It's top net worth now, and this is kind of where you want to be as an Alchemist. You didn't get crushed in the lane, and you've got yourself level 6. Nice TP in from Pudge here really, and as a result punishes OD's kind of aggressive use of Astral Imprisonment on the Alchemist here. But for the most part really, like that's the first point really in this whole game where this Alchemist team has helped him. All this really has been himself, you know, his ability to play the lane, his ability to stack the jungle, and all of this has helped him get top net worth. That nice rotation from Pudge helps and all, but for the most part this has all been Sccc and his ability to kind of play the lane. Brought up phase boots now. Really important you pick up phase boots in this game especially, but just in general I think phase boots is a great item on Alchemist. First reason, because you have such low armor as an Alchemist. Obviously the phase boots give 6 armor, but without it he's only sticking at a really 4 armor. But this game obviously against Ursa, against the Nature's Prophet, a lot of physical presence, and the phase boots help. But the movement speed really is a massive factor as well. And phase boots on melees in general in this patch is just so good. So really good and really important choice for the upgraded boots here. Nice little stack here from his support player, and you know, if you can get a support player stack in the jungle when you start picking up higher levels of acid spray, really helps. So another quick thing as well to mention, you know, he's got 2 braces, he's got his phase boots. He didn't really you know, focus on trying to rush the Radiance. And the reason why, and it's really important that you do this, is that these items, you know, these small little incremental items like bracer, like phase boots, they help him farm faster. And so if you're farming faster, you're going to get a faster Radiance. You know, if you don't have phase boots, if you don't have these bracers, not only would you have a higher chance of dying, because, you know, we saw that the OD ulti onto the Alchemist earlier, which would then eventually slow you down because, you know, you're losing gold, you're wasting time on the map because you're dead. But these items actually accelerate your farm once you're farming the jungle. And as you've seen here, like, he had, you know, ever since he's got level sort of, you know, 6 and 7, he hasn't really been playing the lane. He's only been really in the lane when the rotation suits him and when, you know, the tower is taking a lot of pressure. But for the most part, you know, you're seeing the offlaner taking it. The Elestrak now is rotating mid, trying to help the jungle. But Alchemist, once you get, you know, level 2, level 3 acid spray and max out Grievous Greed, you actually farm faster in jungling than you do farming in the lane because of, you know, how Grievous Greed works and if there's any stacks in the jungle as well. So you're seeing actually now, like, how fast he's farming now. He's really starting to pull away from the pack in terms of the net worth actually. And with maxed out Grievous Greed, you know, plus 32 on every CS he's getting, it's huge, honestly huge. And he's closing in on a Sacred Relic and it's not even 10 minutes. But you'll see now, obviously, bounty runes coming up. He sees a rotation actually, and a lot of farm as well. So, you know, obviously your focus as an Alchemist is really to try and get as much farm as possible. But, you know, if you see an opportunity, you know, don't be afraid to TP, particularly not when the bounty runes are, you know, are starting to come into play. He's TPing in, he's, you know, near the bounty runes. Yes, he obviously wasn't there to take it, but because he's in and around the area and forcing pressure on the map, his team gets 3 bounty runes, and as a result, maxed out Grievous Greed with 3 bounty runes is, you know, enough to get him a Sacred Relic at pre 11 minutes, which is absolutely huge. And you're starting to see him now 7.4k net worth at 10 minutes in. And this is the point now where you, as an Alchemist player, are thinking, doesn't matter what happens with my team now, like I can start carrying this game because I've had such a good time in lane. And any time, you know, you do okay in the lane and you get an okay start, and as an Alchemist, you're feeling fantastic because you know that you're only going to snowball from there. I think the best way to deal with an Alchemist really is in the lane, and is, you know, starting to sort of rotate into his jungle and to really kind of slow him down. Because if you don't slow an Alchemist down, he's just going to skyrocket and he's going to be too hard to deal with. And as you see, like Sccc, he's in 1 assist this whole game, and that 1 assist was really nothing to do with him. It was a rotation from Pudge. And now he's got his Radiance. Now he's going to keep on farming. So, you know, don't feel, you know, you might, you know, as a, you know, perhaps a lower MMR player, like your team's sort of telling you, oh, guys, you know, help me, like mid, why are you not helping me? But as an Alchemist player, it's so important really just to sort of maximise your farm. And, you know, in this case, you know, his team has helped him stack quite a lot here actually. And you might not get that, but you know, you don't necessarily need it, you know. But this is obviously going to accelerate it, and it does help if, you know, your team can help, can stack. But don't feel, you know, the necessity to get him to stack. Just focus on your own farm. And, you know, there will come a time where you can join every single team fight. And, you know, he's starting to rotate in now if it's, you know, in his rotation. But he's not, you know, he's not rotating top. He's not rotating bot for no reason. The fight's mid and he's nearby, and then he can go ahead and join. But don't feel forced to make that rotation. You know, you're really the true 1 position in this game, like in terms of farm priority. So play like it. You know, be greedy, play fast, and play for more farm orientated. Because at the moment, look, he's nearly doubling up the net worth, and it's only 13 minutes in. It's just it's bonkers. Now he's got his blink dagger, and I think with those 2 items, now he can start playing a bit more aggressive, and you're seeing him, you know, play a bit more. He's not just AFKing in the jungle, he's starting to sort of take some farm in the enemy jungle here. He's seeing, you know, a fight happening down bot, he starts rotating to it. And it's these 2 items that really allow him to do that. And before the blink dagger especially, I think you should just try and focus on your farm. But with the blink dagger, you have more presence in the team fights. You know, the blink can help you play more aggressively, can play more defensively, and as a result, you can kind of play on the outskirts, blinking in here, you know, going for a kill on the Alchemist. He's still vulnerable, yeah, but he's able to play with his team. Nice hook here from the Pudge, saves his life. But you can starting to play a bit more aggressive. So, in terms of the talents, as we haven't mentioned it yet. So, -7 unstable concoction for level 1. Now, this will change depending on what kind of style of Alchemist you play. In this style of Alchemist, he's not the true hard carry. He might be the highest farm priority because he's an Alchemist, but really in terms of the right click physical DPS, it's going to be the troll, right? So the troll is really, in terms of late game scenario, the troll is going to do the most amount of damage. So because of this, he doesn't need to be going like, you know, full hard DPS build, so he hasn't gone the attack speed. Instead he's gone for the more kind of aggressive, bit more playmaking talent, which is the -7 unstable concoction cooldown. You'll see, starting to see, particularly in the NA scene, where you're having safe lane Alchemist, and you'll sort of see the whole 25 attack speed, that the 40% cleave, the -2 chemical rage based attack time. But in this game he's mid, so he doesn't need to do this. Level 15, again, it's kind of a toss-up between damage and HP. I think both are good, but in this game, he's got a BKB now. He can play a bit more aggressive, and so because of that, he can go for the +50 damage. But I think the 400 HP is definitely useful in scenarios where you feel that you need to be more of a tanking threat. But he's got a big BKB now, and he's looking to get into fights as much as he can. And that's what he's doing. You know, he's not farming as, you know, he's allowing the troll to farm in the jungle. He's playing with his team. They're playing a full protect 1 with troll playing aggressive. But now with the BKB, you're seeing the presence of Alchemist. BKB and going straight in onto the highest threat target, which is the OD. Again, really nice hook. This Pudge actually played fantastic this game, and you're sort of seeing actually the kind of the high skill level of these pubs, because, you know, my Pudge would never hit hooks like this and make rotations like this. But again, you know, the first 15 to sort of, you know, the first 12 minutes really of this game, SCC was so greedy, so farm orientated, but now he's got Blink, he's got his Radiance, he's got his BKB, and he's looking to get aggressive with his team. Obviously, yes, farm when there's downtime, but don't be afraid to fight, which is the kind of important milestone in terms of item timings. You know, a lot of alchemists I see nowadays that the whole mindset is just farm, farm, farm. Doesn't matter what stage the game is, they're just focusing on farm. Like, it's 40 minutes in and they're still trying to farm. It's like, guys, look, the point and the power of Alchemist is, yes, you farm very, very fast, but you've got to use that kind of high GPM, high net worth advantage to your advantage in the team fights, because that's where it really comes down to. And you're seeing him now, yes, farming, but look, there's a rotation over to Roshan, instantly blinks in, he's not afraid to get aggressive. Uses his BKB to his advantage, and you know, if you really sort of see the kind of style of play here, it's complete difference to what you would normally attribute with an alchemist. He's getting aggressive when he needs to be. So quickly a note about the BKB as well. So and this kind of adds to the kind of the mindset of what Sccc wants to be doing right now. If you look on the Radiant team, really, there's not that many good heroes of what a BKB is used for. Ursa, physical presence. Prophet really doesn't have any magic damage. Bane can go through BKB. The only reason, you know, really of why buying a BKB is useful is, you know, maybe the OD, which is, you know, a good reason, an important reason. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that this BKB, it's not completely necessary, but it's the attitude saying, look, I want to get aggressive, I want to fight as much as I can, and that's what the BKB provides you with. It's not the perfect BKB game, but it's the intent of what Sccc is trying to say here in this game, is that I want to get aggressive. You know, if he was maybe a bit more greedy, a bit more passive, then he'd be like, actually, I don't really need a BKB this game because it's not that important. But because he wants to get aggressive, because he wants to allow the troll to really farm up, because he's going to be, you know, the highest DPS if he gets farmed. Look, his troll is so low down on net worth, and so getting aggressive and using this BKB, even though it's not, you know, the perfect scenario, it's useful enough to sort of fight, because BKB is one of the best fighting items, and he's getting aggressive, and he's getting really kind of more fight orientated than what a regular alchemist would do, and that's really important to know. So in terms of the next item builds, he's going towards an AC. Really important, I think, just in general. It's a good item in general. Same goes for the phase boots, really, because you really do benefit from the attack speed as an alchemist, and also just from the whole armor, which you are lacking. Again, only 6 armor, and that's from the phase boot, so he really needs to build up. But particularly this game, again, as we mentioned, because of the Ursa, because of the Prophet. So he's picked up, obviously, he got the Aegis as we saw there, and so what they really want to do is trying to force the kind of the aggression with this Aegis. As you see there's no BKB from the OD. There is a BKB from the Ursa, but you know, they want to really try and force this Aegis use and force the aggression as much as they can before this OD gets a BKB. And you know, with this 21k at 21 minutes, that's like 1,000 GPM. You know, force that advantage. You have all this net worth, you have all this gold. Now use it for your advantage. There's nothing worse than playing as an alchemist. You're farming your brains out, but you're playing defensive and you're not using the items that you have. So they smoke up. Again, you sort of see they're playing as 4, allowing really the true carry, which is the Troll Warlord, to play by himself. They wasn't able to really find a gank there, but they get the tower and they're doing the right moves. Whether they're paying off is a different story, but they're doing the right moves, which is really, really important. Again, so mid's pushed out, bot's pushed out, so the next kind of objective is eventually going to be the top half of the map. They TP over because obviously they're seeing engagement. Again, always looking for a fight whenever possible. Starts obviously channeling on some concoction before he jumps in, so when he jumps in it's going to be that 0.5 seconds, so it's going to be a longer stun, something really important to know, channeling the concoction before he jumps in. And again, good fight because of, if you have a 23k net worth hero, regardless of what it is, like, and your highest net worth on the enemy team is 12k, you're going to steamroll fights. So it's really important that you really go ahead and use that to your advantage. So level 20 talent trees. So I just want to briefly mention these. So before, say maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, can't remember exactly when the change was made, every single alchemist, doesn't matter whether you're a mid, off lane, carry, if there ever was an off lane alchemist, to be honest, everyone and their mother was going for unstable concoction cooldown, level 10 talent, -7 cooldown, -7 seconds, and then for level 20, plus 400 unstable concoction damage. Everyone was going for it. And that was because the minimum stun and minimum damage was added to the minimum stun. So, for example, if you use the state unstable concoction and then instantly throw it out, it was going to do plus 400 damage regardless. So it would do like plus 50 damage because it was, you know, from the original spell, but plus 400 from the talent. Now, however, they've changed it where the plus 400 unstable concoction damage only happens on the max stun and max duration. So really, it's not as good anymore because, you know, unless you channel it to 0.5 seconds and then throw it, which is not always the case and it's not always going to happen, it's really not that good anymore. And so the plus 40% cleave is just better. I mean, it's not great really because, you know, you want to use the cleave for more farming sort of style and more farming uses, but as we've mentioned before, you want to be playing aggressive. I've said time and time again, you want to be playing aggressive, but you can't really get, you know, the benefit of cleave, which is more for farming than for fighting, because, you know, the chances of them, of the enemy team really grouping up where you use a cleave won't happen too much. It's just that cleave is better than the unstable concoction because the unstable concoction is just bad, put simply. So, sort of 6th item now goes for the Abyssal Blade. And this, as there is going to be a fight down bottom as well. So this one is a little bit really, I'd say probably more on his team. You see Witch Doctor does TP in, but they do get a good fight off here, and I think it's important to note. But the Aegis was running out really, and his Troll, you know, just did not want to join the fight. If Troll comes in here, this fight is probably different, but Troll's playing a bit more greedy really, and as a result, they do get punished for it a little bit. The Aegis runs out, big OD ultimate, ends up killing the Alchemist, and when the Alchemist dies, you know, the team fight's basically over. Bane comes back alive, and then they end up wiping the whole team. So I think in this point, it was kind of a good fight really from Radiant, realising that the Aegis was timing out. So a bit of a bad play from the Troll really, it didn't rotate. Ends up killing the Prophet though, which is pretty good, but you know, if the Witch Doctor could rotate, so could the Troll. But as a result, Sccc dies, but it's only his first death. And at 25 minutes, you know, it's okay, it's acceptable. So going back to the item build, Abyssal Blade here. So we've known that for a long time now that Octarine Core is more of a sort of farming build, and more of a sense that you can only fight if, you know, you have the chemical rage up, and that's what the Octarine Core gives. But in this case, as I've said time and time again, Alchemist in this game, he's more of a presence in the team fights and less of a hard kind of carry in terms of the right-click potential damage. So he doesn't always need to be having chemical rage up to be useful. With this Abyssal Blade now, he can cause annoyance in fights with people that have BKB. So the Ursa, for example. Yes, obviously the OD hasn't got BKB yet, but if he does get a BKB, which probably he should, you know, Leshrac, Witch Doctor stuns, Alchemist stuns as well, then the Abyssal Blade will go straight through that. And obviously it does synergize really nicely with the Chemical Rage now as well, because of the fact that you're attacking so fast with the Assault Cuirass, so you're going to be bashing so many times with the Abyssal Blade. Plus it's useful as well, sort of to stop Bane grip as well, so if it's on a different person and his stun is down. Just overall, great item to have, and just really synergize as well with it. So obviously now it's getting to the point now that he's kind of maxed out on items really. He doesn't really want to give up his Blink Dagger because it's so useful for initiation purposes, you know, with the Abyssal Blade now, blinking Abyssal Blade or blinking and Unstable Concoction. So after this, obviously the whole point and the whole idea really of Alchemist is that if it does start, I mean, it's not really late game, it's real mid game, but it's just that he's farmed so fast. But the idea that, you know, if it does start to get, you know, later in the game and you still have a lot of farm, you can start buying Ags for people. And particularly in this patch, actually, it's so good for a few reasons. Firstly, now that the whole Ags update, you know, if you give Ags with people as an alchemist, you get that plus 50 damage if you have Ags yourself. So in that respect, it's just an extra bit of damage to alchemist when and if he gives Ags to himself after he's given quite a few to his team. But secondly, and more importantly, is that because of the whole Aghanim's blessing now, that not only do you have to have an Aghanim's, which is 4,200 gold, but you've got to buy the blessing or the recipe to have it at buff as well, which is like 1,800. Alchemists can do that without buying the recipe, so it's just a really efficient method of having the Aghanim's buff. But because you have an alchemist, you don't have to buy the recipe as well. So altogether, you're saving 5,000-6,000 gold. If you have 3 or 4 Aghanims bought for your whole team. So because say for example, this troll, he hasn't farmed too well really. He's only got 14k net worth. But if he had higher net worth to the point where he was maxed out, and he was looking to buy Aghanims himself and buy the buff, he doesn't have to buy the recipe because Alchemist will just give it to him instead. So there's a really nice kind of with the few patches how Alchemist works nowadays, and that's why you're sort of seeing his kind of stock of value in terms of the picking scene and the pub scene. And I'm sure we'll see him picked quite a few times in TI as well, because he is he's one of those kind of cheesy niche heroes that if the game is okay for it, which it was this game, he had a good lane, he wasn't really focused down too hard in the jungle, that he can just be one of those heroes that you're like, oh guys, we've got Alchemist and we lost. It just happens to be one of those games. So again, they're playing a bit more passive really, and that's just because Pudge has been DC'd for the last sort of 10 minutes really. They try to pause for him, but he hasn't able to do it. So they're playing a bit more defensive right now, but Pudge goes ahead and reconnects, so they can go ahead and start getting a bit more aggressive. So first Aghanims being built. There's a few kind of good Aghanims in this game. Witch Doctor is useful. Pudge again is actually really good, and I think in this game actually, like, Pudge has played so well that you'd almost want to give him Aghanims. Small point as well, turns off the radiance when he's smoking past the creep wave. It's a small thing, but it's an impact because of if they see radiance being on the creep wave, they might react to it instead. So small things, but really nice little touch from Sccc here. And as a result, they catch out the Rubik. They catch out the Ursa without them realising it. Gets gripped without popping his BKB. A little bit greedy, but it was only a 6-second cooldown, so it's always hard to sort of gauge when to pop it. But in the end, as Alchemist is so far ahead on net worth, he sort of tanks a lot of spells, and that's kind of what you want to be like as an Alchemist, particularly in this mid to late game. You don't want to be this big right-click threat. You want to just be an annoyance, a big frontliner, and a big kind of target in the team fights. So it allows heroes like the Troll, like the Pudge, to kind of get off some key abilities and a lot of damage, really, while you're soaking up a lot of the damage. So he dies here, but as a result, they win the team fight. And he bought out his Aghanims before he died as well. And as a result, Ursa and Prophet don't have buyback, so Odie doesn't want to buy back himself, and they take mid racks. I think they go ahead and take bottom racks as well, and that's basically, the game does go on for a little bit longer than this, but that's basically the game. And it's like, what I'm trying to highlight here is that he didn't do anything particularly special. It wasn't this. Oh, he did some nice. He did a few bits of nice plays here and there, but for the most part, this is Sccc, like one of the best Chinese mid laners in the world, and yet he just kind of played pretty standard, really. Farmed well, he did okay in the lane, joined fights when he was supposed to. But the point I'm trying to make is that, you don't even have to play nearly as well as he did in this game, and you will absolutely crush your games. So if you kind of follow the strategy, kind of follow the formula of, do this at this minute, do this at that, stack here, play the lane correctly, this can be you in your games. And if Sccc is playing kind of almost average really in a game where it's like 6k MMR, imagine you playing well in an average maybe 3 or 4k MMR game. Like, you will absolutely face roll games like this. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because even I'm learning from games like this, and then kind of trying to implement it in my games. and I've played a few Alchemist games, but I wanted to show it from his perspective because obviously he's a lot better than me. He's a pro, and you can learn a lot more from him. And so yeah, just want to make a point that this can be you in your next game, and you can crush. He does end up giving the Aghanims, by the way, to the Pudge, and again obviously he's building another one, and he ends up giving it to the Troll. Not really a great Troll Aghanims, but it's better. It's better probably than the Leshrac, and does want to give it to the Witch Doctor for this position 5. But yeah, so now they've got Mega Creeps, and now Radiant Team are just trying to force something, and in the end they go ahead and win the final fight. And you just see the top net worth. Like, yes, obviously the Troll and the Pudge is now sort of gained up, but this Pudge was so far ahead for so long, and that's just what Pudge can do to you, man. And in the end, they go ahead and win this game. So, guys, that was the end of the video. Hope you liked it. Please do like and subscribe. Trying to make a bit more content for the channel. If you like this idea, tell me what you thought of it. Perhaps tell me what the next hero you'd like to sort of see a pro play, or next different kind of video. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time in the next video. Mini TV. Peace.
Easy now! This stuff is explosive!